Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Spirit Lounge podcast with me, David.
And me, Glenda.
And we are psychic mediums from both sides of the pond.
I'm in Australia.
And I'm in the UK.
And we're joining forces to discuss and talk about the world of psychics, mediumship, and all things spiritual. We might even throw some random life topics in there too.
So come with us now on our podcast journey. Let's see what's happening in the Spirit Lounge for today's episode. Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the Spirit Lounge. I'm here as usual with Glenda. Hello, Glenda.
Hi, David. How's
How are you?
everyone?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's Monday, long weekend. We've had drinks and parties and relaxing, and I'm excited because I've got my mate Pete on tonight. So, yay, I'm super excited. So,
Me too. Well, tell us, Glenda, you introduced the episodes. What's going on today?
Okay, so I couldn't wait to get my friend Peter Williams on. And if you don't know Peter Williams, look, what can I say? Pete is so down to earth. He's super cool. Psychic medium, spiritual guru, conscious living leader, energetic empowerment coach, author. He has his own podcast, which is Inner Power Podcast. He does retreats. What else can I say, Pete? You're freaking amazing. Like, you're out there.
Thank you, Glenda.
I've always said that, but for the people that aren't aware of what you do, so you do a lot of stage work, coaching, retreats now. I don't even know. Where do you want to take it back to, Pete? Tell us a little bit about yourself. So.
Oh, look, it's a lovely introduction. Thanks for the beautiful, like, oh my God, I'm going to be struggling to fit my head in this little square box right now. No, I'm kidding. It's like, no, but it is wonderful. Like, it's been me just following the journey, but I think to put it in a nutshell is that, I've always been interested in teaching ever since I was a kid. But of course, what we all tend to know and fall into is that, what we have is the idea of society. So for me, teaching, go to become a school teacher, and whatever else, did follow that path, and was fortunate enough to teach overseas, actually. So that was wonderful. But that didn't work out purely because of natural disaster, the Fukushima earthquake of 2011. I was there for that. And my house is only 60 kilometers away from that nuclear power plant that is a meltdown. And so that made a very big life change. And from that, it really bumped me onto the path of really what was always there. And that is my spiritual path, energy, tapping in, all that. I've been interested in that since I was a kid, like since a teenager. And the great thing is I've just been following that ever since. And I'm super grateful because I have been very fortunate to make a career out of this and literally support my family. And I love inspiring people to go, if you've got this ability or if you've got something along the lines of this, you can follow your passion because it's so important to do something that you love doing. Don't feel like you've just got to do a 9 to 5 and just survive, because that's my biggest message. We're not here to do this. And as much as my stage work and, a lot of the work revolves around obviously connecting people with past loved ones and the healing and stuff like that. But the biggest message that Spirit keeps banging on is going, remember, the people you're talking to, they're still living, but are they really living? And that's a huge, huge message. And that's where my focal point is shifting somewhat. And that's why I love doing the mentoring and I love taking people on the retreats, because it's about tapping into that deeper part of the soul, as well as tapping into the energy to let them know that when we tap into the energetic world or the spirit world, it's not just about like connecting for like to connect with a loved one or do this. It's about connecting for yourself so you can actually get more flow and joy and happiness in your own life. And I feel like that is a point that is completely overlooked in so much teaching and so much of, our lovely, spiritual world. And so that's where it's like a bit of a focal point now. That's why the energetic empowerment is a very, very big, powerful thing for me that I love offering in that sense.
No, it's amazing. And I've followed your journey for years. I've always been a big fan. And I can tell you, David, I manifested Meet and Pete. I can tell you that right now. I did
Fantastic.
years and years ago. I used to follow Pete, everything, and I said to my girlfriend, "I'm going to meet Pete and I'm going to have a chat with him." And she's like, "Well, you can always manifest that." And I'm like, "I'm manifesting that we're going to go down the Strand, we're going to have a drink." And she's like, "Whatever." Bought tickets, and then COVID come in, and you cancelled. I'm like, "Fuck, damn, I missed out." Had to wait another year for you to come back. Sure enough, we become friends and like we catch up
Yeah.
all the time for drinks and catch up for chats. You check in with each other, and it's been fantastic. But it's so amazing to watch like you grow and just when you were doing dems and you do big sellout, dems like your big I don't know, like up here. What'd you do? 250, three, I don't know how many
That
people you
was,
fitting
I
up
think that
here.
was 265 up there when I did the first one. Yeah.
265? Yeah, like they're just massive. And I know that you've got at least five or six to do around before the end of the year. Is that five or
Yeah.
six? I
I've
think I
got to, yeah,
counted.
just put in another one.
Oh my gosh. And
So,
all of that with going overseas, retreats, your groups that you have, like your teachings. It blows my mind how hard you actually work and to see you actually expand and put on staff and that because you're growing bigger and bigger. It's so good to for you to be, but you're our inspiration, for the people that are on this journey or starting off. We look up to you and go, if he can do it, maybe I can do it. Like if you're holding all this space for everyone. At what point in your life, if we go back, did you
mhm.
go, I want to get up on stage and do this? 'Cause
Never.
it's a big decision.
In all honesty, never, never in my wildest dreams did I ever like see stage work in my horizon. Never like, because you got to remember, it's this. It was such a jolt. This wasn't even a shift. This was literally the earth moving like a 9.0 earthquake and a tsunami and nuclear radiation that got me to jump back and come back to Australia. Like it's like you cannot get any more like bigger than that really besides fucking Armageddon, and it almost could have been. So, but what it was when I also came back, and I remember again the lovely reader Michael, his name was, and he knew me quite well because we'd been connecting over a couple of years, and I used to get readings off him. But it was when I was back, and I think it was about a year after I'd been back, and he suggested, he goes, "Look, there's this course that's happening, and it's by this lady. She's British, but she's done American, and so Lisa Williams is who I'm
Ah,
referring to."
mm.
And he goes, she's doing an advanced mediumship course, and I just think, she's like us. She's got the same personality as us. She kind of like, so I think this would be really good for you. And again, I've been living in Asia for 10 years. So Lisa, who? Like, I had no idea, let alone advanced mediumship. Because I'm like, I'd never done any form of formal course or training around this. I have done so much by self-discovery. And I remember filling out the application for this, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, an application for spiritual
Yeah.
development. And there was some really like confronting questions. And I remember it was like, how many readings do you do? And how many readings a month do you do? And I'm like, none, none. Like, how am I going to get accepted on this course? I'm like, I don't even know who she is. It was really random. And I remember the last one. The last one was, what are your spiritual goals for the next 5 years? And I was like, can we have spiritual? Do that? What would this be a spiritual goal be? And
Mm.
so it was very interesting. Lo and behold, I got accepted. So again, because
Wow.
she was leaning into it.
Wow.
So I had the privilege of working with her, and we worked for a month online, and then she came out to Australia to host the in-person week that we had. I was quite fortunate because that was her first time ever coming to Australia to do that. So it was a lovely bunch of people that we did. But anyway, so in the second half of the week, we were practicing demonstrations, live demonstrations. Again, this is completely new to me. I like literally in those 3 days that we had in the room prior to this, I only just learnt what the actual fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, so that's how I'm working with spirit. Oh, like it was like reverse engineering. I'm like, oh, that's the mechanics. It's like, so it was really like penny drop, penny drop, penny drop. I'm like, oh, and it was just like kind of like now I understand what I'm doing, which is really important. And but then we switch into DEMS, and I remember the first day we had to do speed reading.
Yeah.
So we got paired up in the room, and it was like 1 to 1. And she's like, okay, so you're going to literally all have 1 minute, 1 minute to connect, 1 minute to validate. Like, so 1 minute in total. So 60 seconds for total to connect, validate, pass on the message. 60 seconds. I can tell you right now, I do not think there was a clean pair of underwear in that room. So I'm sitting way up the back corner. And then she's like, so who doesn't have a partner? Of course, that's me in the back corner. I had no one sit with me. She goes, okay, Pete, you're going to read for, me. I was like, oh, if my anxiety was
Yeah.
already at fucking, 100, this just jumped to 1,000. Now I've got to do a 1 minute read for Lisa herself. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. So anyway, we sat down and she goes, okay, everyone, ready, 1 minute, go. And I was like, but the beautiful thing is it was just there. It was like, boom, I've got this lady, da 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 da, described her new office, all this kind of stuff. And she's like, yeah. I said, oh, look, this is your name, Francis. She goes, yeah, I know. So so that was a beautiful thing. But anyway, so the following day, she was announcing how there was going to be a actual public training, so a public demonstration for training purposes where the public would pay $5 to come in. And she says, oh, I'm just going to be, so after today, I'll find out, my team will tell me who's going to do this. She selected 5 people, and I was like one of those 5 people. And I was like, I don't even know what am I doing? Got up, did one connection, managed to validate it, and I sat straight. I got off stage so fucking fast because I was like, it was just so that was my first ever experience to get on stage. I had no idea that that was going to be a massive part of my future. It was
Yeah.
like I wasn't even there for that. That was, again, I didn't even know what that was. And yet I just went along for the ride, went for the flow, and here we are. And I've had the privilege of literally, touring, Australia. I've done a couple in America. I've done Japan. I've done Hong Kong. I've done, New Zealand. So I've had the privilege of jumping around the place. And of course, Australia, like I don't know how many laps of Australia I've done. But it's been wonderful. And I have to admit, I love it. I absolutely genuinely love connecting. I love when an audience gets involved. But I'm a high energy person. I'm not a low energy person. People get surprised when I come out. Like I'm rocking to AC/DC Thunderstruck before we even begin. And I've got flashing lights, and people go, what the fuck? Is this a rock concert or is it a mediumship event? I'm like, no, because I'm like, yeah, let's get this pumping. So yeah, I like to bring a high vibe. Yes, I don't know how many times I've been cited for using profanity in my introduction.
I love it. I told
However,
David, I said he sits down, he owns it, sit down, shut the fuck up, and don't get up in the middle of my thing and go to the
I probably don't
toilet.
go
Like,
that direct with it. Just putting that, I want to clear that up. But when I explain it, and this was a beautiful moment, one of the first ones I did, it was a sell. It was 330, and it was at the Sunshine Coast. And I remember just did my thing. And I spoke to a beautiful couple afterwards. They must be in their late 60s. They were real pioneers of Australian spiritual churches, and they were a lovely couple to speak to. And they said, "Oh my God, that was amazing. That was lovely. You're amazing." Like, I was like, "Oh, thank you." And she goes, "There's like just one thing, just one. Just lose the swearing. Please lose the swearing. It's really unnecessary." And I just smiled, and I did this, and I do the head tilt because it's like, yeah, I know. And I said, "Look, I'm hearing you, but let me explain it to you." I said, "Now I want you to replay this in your mind." I said, "Did you notice that I only swore in the introduction unless the spirit actually asked me to swear?" And I said, "Not only that, when I dropped the first F-bomb, did you feel the energy just go from like, oh, he's down to earth. And they were like, oh, now that you say that, yeah, it did. Everyone, we noticed people around us kind of just shifted and they started to relax. I said, that's the point. I said, stop. There's a build up. And I said, I need to cut through that and bring everybody back down. So that's why I use it when I do. So, yeah.
Oh,
See,
interesting.
David, imagine him over at the spiritual churches in the
You,
UK.
Joe,
I wouldn't.
you can barely say anything in a spiritualist church.
No,
A spiritualist church.
hand on heart, I wouldn't, because
Mhm.
that is too old school for me. And this is fucking 2025.
Mm,
And this now needs to become more mainstream and connecting with the general public at their level, not our level where we're in training or we need to adhere to these rules. Now, I'm all for them, but how do you start bringing a message to the general public that are completely unaware of our world? How do we bring the masses into our world? Well, there's only one friggin' way. We need to relate to them. We need to speak their language. We need to connect with them, because no different for a lot of people out there, for all the people who are not aware, this is a foreign language to them. So we have to speak their language, because that's the only way that I can see to connect and allow more people to see the magic that we all do and bring to this world.
yeah. Do you see a difference then, Pete, with the work that you've done between those kind of more religious establishments versus when you go out and actually do it yourself?
Massively.
What do you see? What do you? Because obviously I see it in the spiritualist churches and things like that. So
Yeah. So
what's the
I
big
want to
difference for you?
clarify. I want to clarify a big thing. Your spiritual churches way different than ours.
Okay.
Okay. And again, I love it. I'm just going to call it because I'm over
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
I only ever have worked. I've worked 3 different spiritual churches here in Australia in my time in the last 13 years.
Okay.
I found one because the Reverend was completely not a medium and she held the church for the sake of the group, which was vitally important to me. The other lady, who was more country, lovely lady, and it was just so down to earth and real. I'm like, I'm here, and I would always make the time to go if I could for that church. One thing for churches here, they're not as established as the UK.
Yeah.
And I tend to find it probably is a little bit in the UK because I haven't had like a lot of experience with UK spiritual churches. But this is just from the good old, very long lens observation that I have from my safety of our little island over here. But the interesting part is like there is huge power plays and politics with spiritual churches here.
Same here.
That is a no-go zone for me because I have no time for that, because that is not the work. I find everyone's trying to create their own spiritual church because they want their own following to make themselves look good for whatever reason. You find the people who are genuine leaders, they will attract a good congregation. That's why the couple of churches that I did find and I stuck with, because it was on that level, which was really good.
Mhm.
For the UK side of things, it's very much like it is prim and proper, or it's like there is I've always found and seen and noticed there is a very specific etiquette to be
Mhm.
upheld
Mhm.
with that. Now, I completely respect that. However, guess what? Then I am now fitting into a mold that someone set however many hundreds of years ago.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's not me, and I'm not here for that, because
Yeah.
if that was so good, if that was really the way we're meant to be doing it, well, shit, wouldn't the congregations be way bigger than what they are? Because let's face it,
Great.
you can go over, like, I've been in around normal churches, Christian churches, and I can tell you they're doing, look at Hillsong, okay? Whatever, like they've adopted and adapted different policies to move away from the church because they've got to keep up with the times. Now, why? Because the youth, they're interested in going along and rocking to a band and having some light shows because it feels more youthful, it feels younger. That's where are we at this? We are so stuck
Yeah.
in an old
Yeah.
history. And I think that's one privilege I think I've had by being out here. There's always a double-edged sword. You probably understand this with the work that you're doing, David, over there, is that even over here, we don't really have those spiritual churches or
Yeah.
establishments as good training grounds. So that makes it hard for people to find a place to practice, you know, at a good level. So therefore, you start doing on your own, but you can get very disenchanted very quickly
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
you're not getting the numbers. You're only getting 5 people turn up. And I always believe that a lot of people who are starting this journey, and the world is about instant gratification. So if they
Yeah.
hold an event and they don't get 50 people, oh, this is not working. So it's one of those things. But I've literally just had to push myself and to go, I had no one besides that moment with Lisa Williams to tell me how to kind of do a little bit of the work. But besides that, I had no one guiding me to say, well, this is how you should connect and this is how you should do that. I'm aware because of a couple of episodes I've listened to you, but I've only had the privilege of working with a one day with Tony Stockwell. And I find, like, number one, he is a funny fucker, and I love that. He's just got the greatest sense of humor for me. And the other thing, too, is I've always valued the points he's and advice he's given from where he comes from.
Mm.
And that has something that I've always valued from him. But besides that, so besides 2 days with Lisa Williams and one day with Tony Stockwell, everything else has been self-discovery. So I
Cool.
don't think the spiritual church in the UK would necessarily work with my style.
Or
Do they work with your
blenders.
style, Blended?
Oh
Do they
my.
like
Oh,
blended?
yes.
Well, I did. You gave me the best advice when I was heading over to Arthur Finlay College, and I was going, oh, but what if this is this? And you're just like, right, the best advice I'm going to give you is go with it, learn what you can, and then when you leave, just do it your way. Just do it your way. And that's what I had to do. It took me like 2 weeks to kind of
Yeah.
get back into the flow because from there it was straight. I did, a spiritual church and I'm like shunned because I said bugger and things like that. You're not allowed to say those sort of things. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this. But hey, I think I don't know, the Aussies are so different. We're so laid
Yeah.
back with what we say and the way that we flow that,
Oh, and we're also at a massive disadvantage for one big reason. Australians are very much behind the eight ball in all of this versus the UK or America. We don't have the same culture of belief with this stuff. We have more cynicism and skepticism than we do believers. It
Oh,
is
really?
changing, but mate, it's like honestly, if it's so interesting kind of going along and going, okay, because I always like to get a feel for the audience because here's a tip for anyone who's doing dem that this is one tip that no one will give you because most people who want a dem, they are so focused on the connection or establishing their connection to bring through and deliver. And they're reading that connection. However, you're missing one fundamental flaw if you really want to connect with your audience. Read the fucking audience. Not as individuals, not cold reading in that sense, but I mean, read the room
Yeah.
because they are the ones that are there. They're the ones that are they're the ones who've paid a friggin' ticket. Be there for them as much as you're going to be there for spirit because when you do that, then you know how to dial it up a notch. You know when you can be a little bit bring in the funny aspect to relieve the energy. That's the hardest part for any person who wants to do them because no one ever talks about reading the room. Because I can tell you right now, if a comedian's in the room, he's going to drop a few jokes and he's going, oh, they didn't like that style. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to switch it up. No different to, even if it's music going, we might play this cover. Oh, that didn't go down so well. Okay, let's not do the planned 3 covers in 5 minutes time. What else have we got? That's a big, big thing, kind of doing that. So read the room because that's the one thing people don't. I see it so often. They're so focused on the connection, which I completely understand. But I sit there and going, you've lost the room. And I tell
yeah.
you what, it doesn't matter what spirit you're bringing through. If the audience is doing this, what's
Yeah.
the fucking point?
Exactly, exactly. So, what do you think is the biggest myth or misconception around mediumship or the spiritual development now?
Oh, good question. What's the biggest misconception? Or I don't know whether it's a misconception. Let me rephrase, Your Honor. So if this doesn't answer your question, just say so. But the thing that I'm finding So because as mediumship becomes more mainstream, it's wonderful. However, again, double-edged sword. So what's happening now is people have this expectation of how it should work, and with no idea, like people are now seeing the work, but individually, but are not understanding the work. So they're getting such a small snippet, and this then unfortunately brings this level of expectation without understanding the reality of how we do our work. I loved it because, I was paying attention to the episode where, David, you were talking about your particular circumstance. I don't know whether it's at a spiritual church or not, but about going direct versus non-direct.
Yeah, as a spiritual center. Yeah.
Yeah. So was that at a spiritual church?
It's a spiritualist center.
Spiritual center.
No, the difference is that the churches are obviously a purpose-built church, but a lot of people in the UK, they hire out a village hall or something like that and call it a center, basically. Yeah.
Okay. But when you're at that, would you say they were kind of formulating it like, or wanting to have that etiquette of a spiritual church?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, right. And it's amazing because they will set a standard of what you should or should not do.
Yeah.
And again, and it's like, when I was listening to you talk about that, I was like, this is what needs to be talked about, because this is no longer about how they see it should be done. We need to bring our individuality into the connection, because that's a powerful thing. But coming back to the question, Glenda, is about, it's just like people are now just have this expectation that we can latch on to every specific person that they want. And it just, we know it doesn't work that way. Of course, we try our bloody darn hardest to do it for them. But when you come in with that, the blinkers are on. And you start going, you're limiting how I can work. You are, shutting down so many beautiful avenues that the energy can work, but because I just want this. And like, I think we've all experienced, where we've had that connection, and you're bringing someone through and they're like, no. And you're going, but God, golly gosh, this person's here, and I need to understand how they're connected to you, but they don't want to, because let's say I've got a female here. No, I want to connect with my dad. It's like, but it could be your auntie. It could be your sister's best friend who passed away last week, but they're shutting themselves off from that. That's probably where I think the misconceptions for me are coming in. I don't know whether this is the same in the UK, because like I said, the UK and America even more, also as well, far more mainstream, more accepted. So therefore, I feel like a little bit better educated around this side of things. But, because again, I'm only speaking from good old Down Under's experience here. And I've been doing enough of it that I can see that. I won't, like, in all honesty, that weighs on me, because again, now people are coming in with preconceptions of what it's going to be. People must get sick and tired of, I'm getting sick and tired of my intro. But if I don't lay down the law, then they don't know what's coming. So
No, I agree.
Is that the same thing with the UK? Is that the same thing, Dave? Are you finding that with the UK?
Yeah, I think it's one thing that I don't battle with, trying to think about it too much. But I think people do come in, whether it be a one-to-one, more than in the one-to-ones, more so than in a dem. But in one-to-ones, I think people will come in with that sense of, I want to hear from this one particular person. And that's when you talk about the pressure earlier on. We then put pressure on ourselves to go, oh, fuck, now I've got to try and get this person. And I think for some of us, like me especially, not so much now, but maybe in the past, we put so much pressure on ourselves that if we don't get that person, then we feel like, oh, I'm shit then. Or I shouldn't be doing the work. I'm not a medium if I can't connect to that one person. And then you leave feeling deflated because you worry about, oh, do I get a bad review? They're going to tell their friends, don't go to David because he can't get my dad. And all that. So I think there are some, and sometimes I do it, sometimes Glenda does it, where in a one-to-one, sometimes people walk in, and when you say about reading the room, it's also about reading the person, because you can tell for some people that they don't want to hear from Granny, Granny who died 20 years ago, who only saw once a year. They want to hear from this person. So there are some mediums I know, Glenda and I know, who they start their one-to-ones by saying, right, who do you want to hear from?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Who do you want to hear from?
they'll direct dial. And so
Mm.
I've done it maybe 1 or 2 times, but other times I've gone, right, whoever comes through, comes through. I give them a little speech. I can't
Mm.
control it. You know, if that person wants to come in, that they can come in. Or I always say, like, I try to honor spirit because they ain't got a voice box. No, we're that voice for them. So if Granny turns up, you know you don't want to hear from her. I'm not going to say to Granny, "Oh, sorry, she don't want to hear from you today. Can you
Well,
bugger
that's
off,
exactly
please?"
right.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
say that because that's just disrespectful to spirit. You know what I mean? But there
You're
is
gonna
that.
literally tell your own
Yeah,
grandmother to
yeah,
piss
fuck
off.
off. Back off, love. Not today. Not today, thanks.
Can you
Maybe
come back
next
next
week.
week? Yeah.
But but there is that, and I think that that's what I think puts a lot of new mediums off is that expectation. Where in a
Yeah.
dem, you've got loads of people. You know, you can have a great time doing a dem because you've got all this energy and whoever pop 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 pop
Yeah.
comes in. But when you sat down in front of a person, it's a little bit more pressure, I think. Do you find that, Pete? Do you do one-to-ones as well as the stage work?
Used to. I don't do as many ones to one anymore because I'm more focused on the well-being, the
Yeah,
retreats, and bringing people into that space. I'm more now of a focus of I'd rather show them not how like to do the level of work or at the level that we do it, but I'm like I want to show you how actually easy it is for you to have your own connection because that's what it's there for, and people don't see that. And I love doing that. But I very much like I've done like what seriously the last one-on-one I did was about a month ago, and I knew I like sat down. I'm just like the energy. I said, "Have you ever had a reading before?" And he's like, "Oh, a long time ago." I said, "Because I'm like, this is like you've never had a reading." I said, "How long ago was it?" He goes, "Oh, 1990." I said, "Okay, that's like not having a reading
yeah,
because like there's 25 years of information like flowing through here." I'm like, Jesus Christ, they need to talk to you. And that was a 3.5 hour reading. So it
oh,
was just like because that's how much information. When I get on that level, see, I'm a deep person. I go deep. I don't do
not
and if I go
surface.
into
Yeah,
mediumship, I go into detail. I go into what kind of freaking pot plant they had on their windowsill, whatever it may be. But so I get into that space. So I do it, and you can have that pressure. I 100% know what you're talking about, where it is.
Mm.
And I remember this because Lisa Williams imparted this, on me. And this is it is so true. You are only ever as good as your last reading. But just because it
Mm.
wasn't a good one doesn't mean you should stop.
mm,
And then my good friend Michael always said to me, never, ever, ever judge your own session because you might go, oh my God, that was a train wreck. That
Yeah.
was terrible. And then all of a sudden you get an email, oh my God, that was so amazing. I told my friends. And you're going, seriously? Like, I
yeah,
thought that was terrible. So I think we hold ourselves to the highest accountability. And
Yeah.
I think anyone who
yeah,
genuinely has their heart in the work will do that,
yeah.
which is a good thing. But it's learning to let that go and just be of service for the person in front of you in whatever shape or form. My biggest thing is I always tell people, even in a dem, I'm like, this is not about who you want. Tonight's actually not about you at all. I'm sorry. I know you're here, but it's not because it's about them. And it's about who they wish to come through. And I said, because it's not about what you want, it's about what you need. And that's how I work with spirit. And I'm like, so take it or leave it. That's up to you. So that's how I kind of work with that.
Yeah, I
Actually, I
told
was,
David
yeah.
you're our kind of medium.
That's what I say to people is that what you want is not going to help you eventually. It's what you need to hear, which is what
Yeah.
sometimes sometimes it might not be well, it will always be. I'll try and keep it pleasant, but some people don't want to hear certain things, do they? But it's those things that they need to hear, which is going to help them in the long run.
Yeah.
Because
That's
sometimes
it.
it's a bit of a reality check, isn't it?
Well,
Because
the other thing
Yes.
too is like whether it's mediumship or even on psychic level,
yeah,
what tends to happen? I literally just recorded the podcast before I hopped on with you guys about this very thing. And it's like when when you're focusing too much on one thing, you're creating a bottleneck for yourself and you're putting the blinkers on and creating a tunnel vision. And that's not increasing your awareness for what's around you. And that's actually a vital part. Now, whether that's for them in their life and or for the person that might be coming through for them. You know, it's like if, for example, if your poor old granny that you only saw twice before she passed. But what happens if she's got that absolutely gold nugget to kind of go, you know what? And they're just going to go, oh, how? Because then people go, how would she know that she died before I was born or whatever?
Yeah.
But it's like, well, is it, or is the information accurate and important to you? Yes. Then you take it. Don't worry about where it comes from. That's for you. They're helping you. That's what you should be focusing on.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Not who the sender is.
Yeah.
It's like, just take it, be grateful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So often, like I've even had your uncles come through, blah, blah, blah. And he was a businessman, but do you understand why he's come through? You're having some financial problems, or you're trying to work, oh yeah, this makes sense now why he's come through. Well, he's got some good advice to give you. So people just, I think, need to be a bit more open to it. But again, is there enough education around this sort of work that, that teaches them to be open? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Look, it is a problem, but I've also found that unless you have an interest in this world, you don't give a shit.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Let's face it, right? How many people have financial issues? But how many people actually want to educate themselves about the financial institutions? They would rather sit there and go, oh, well, it'll sort itself out, rather than educate themselves or go off and learn about it. That's, to improve their situation. They won't, because it doesn't hurt enough. The pain's not great enough. So they'll just sit there in it. And I think our world is even harder, because it's like, oh, well, it's there for when I want it and need it. So, but they'll take what they can at the time, but they're not necessarily going to educate themselves on it. I'm here to try and educate people, but now I'm also learning, stop trying to educate the masses. Literally just take the people who are now ready to learn, because then that's how we start the ripple effect. Because I was on a real mission. I was like, I'm going to get it out there, and I'm going to get the word out there. But I also learned going, I feel like I'm banging on doors that no one wants to open. So yeah, I've dialed it back a little bit.
Did you create that, how do I say that, emotional boundary, or that boundary within your work to look after yourself, especially working in this industry with grief and trauma, and also people that kind of want to know about this, would like to step into it more? How did you go about creating that? Because I've seen you take these massive steps. I don't even know if they're steps or they're just like, right, that's not working, out the window, let's start something new. Like, you're really good at identifying where things don't work and going, right, I need to create this, but also put a boundary within that work. How did you go about doing all of that?
I don't think there was an exact methodology. I feel like it was born out of intuition. It was born out of necessity in the situation. So if there's one thing about it all, I have just learned more and more and more and more the more I do it. I think we can all agree you never stop learning. Like it's just an endless, and that's what makes it hard, guys. If you're looking at I can tell you right now, if you're not ready to keep learning on every single step of this journey, don't start it, because you're not going to like it. Because, and it comes with frustrations. It comes with, whether the frustrations come from a client, whether the frustrations come from connecting with spirit, whether it comes from people or so-called colleagues within the industry. There's always going to be something to learn with it. But it's just learning to I've always just being good. And I genuinely do believe, and this is not highlighting any massive discrepancies or differences, but it's kind of like a more of a known fact that men in general are better at compartmentalizing in their brain than females are. And that helps me. I just feel like that does happen. And as a mentor of mine said, men's brains are like waffles. So it's like, here's this beautiful square grid. Everything belongs in a box. That happened yesterday. That happened 2 days ago. This is what's happening tomorrow. Everything belongs in that box.
Oh, so you sound like my husband.
Right, men are geared like this. And I'm like, when this was explained, I'm like, yeah, I kind of do that. I'm like, well, that happened last week in a reading. Don't worry about that. Today's today. I can literally put that in that box. But it's interesting. But women's minds are like spaghetti. They're noodles, and they're all stuck in one tendril stuck. Well, the noodles took. You touch this noodle sets off this noodle, and touch or whatever else. So it can activate a long thing. So both sides have their advantage. But I think just for me, I've been very fortunate. I've been able to compartmentalize that from a get go, and the one thing that it took me a long time, which is kind of weird, but I was probably in practice for this for the first 10 years overseas because I was teaching. I had to learn to hold a room. I had to learn how to keep a bunch of kids from different ages, from literally 4 years of age, to keep them entertained for 40 minutes and to learn and learn something and take something on. So I was in training in a way before it even happened. So I'd learned, and I've learned to connect with people at their level because a 4 year old is very different to teaching a class of like, 10, 40 year olds. And I've had that privilege of across the board. So I didn't even realize, but that was pivotal training, and I didn't even realize it was training. So, but yeah, I wouldn't say there's a methodology to it. I know that there was one that we got taught where you could, and I don't know, like you might use this, Glenda or David, you might be aware of something similar where you can, if you need to, just visualize putting everything in the bag, zipping up the bag and like visualizing dumping it outside the door so you don't bring that shit into the reading or into the session.
Yeah.
You can do that. That has saved my skin a couple of times. I don't use it massively, but that's one thing. If anybody's listening, you can try that. Like just literally visualize how you want to remove yourself from it. But yeah, I'm pretty darn good at going, I'm on and I'm off. That's the way I operate. I don't like to stay like have that low burn and have that little sneaky connection. Nah, I'm on or I'm off because I honor myself. I honor my energy as much as so when I'm on, oh boy, watch out, I'm fucking on. That's why I say to people, if you think I'm talking fast right now, I'm going to come at you a million miles an hour. Once I plug in, away we go. So yeah, I don't think there's an exact methodology. It's just I think it's just something that I've taken on with the experience. But have you guys found that you've got a methodology for that at all?
Not really. I'm the
Yeah,
same as
Dave.
you. When I'm on, I'm on. When I'm off. That's it.
Yeah.
Eat
I
the
think
waffles.
that's it.
Yeah.
You have, you have to have that separation. You have to have that. For me, it's also discipline. But I learned that from the very
Yes.
beginnings of my development is that when I'm not on, I'm not on because, like you just said, I've had the awareness of I have a physical life to live. No,
Yeah.
I have a partner and friends and whatever else, and that's the part of my life that I need to honor that as well, because in order to do the spiritual work the best that I can, I need to make sure that I am grounded, that I do still live my physical life,
Mm.
because again, a lot of what spirit give us is through our own frame of reference, through our own life experience, and if we're
Yes.
not living, how do you grab onto that? So, yeah, very similar to you. I'm very much on off. That's it. No in
Yeah.
between.
Yeah.
Same.
But again,
Same.
but it's amazing how many times have you been asked the question, "Oh, how do you switch off?"
Yeah.
I know.
So
Easy.
in reference to that, let's just say like we're there and we get that question, how do you guys switch off?
Uh,
I'm just I'm just off. That's it.
yeah, just
Spirit
start.
know when they're
Yeah, just
working.
start.
They just know. They
Can we,
know
can we
when I'm
use
on
a
and when I'm
particular
off.
phrase that you like, Glenda? We could throw that one in there.
I'm
I'm
not going to say that on a live, no. Oh gosh, no. I've been tested so many times, but I think you just get to that point in your life where you're just like, you know where you're at, and it takes time. You know, at the beginning, you're open and you're like this
yeah,
little radar that's
Oh
always just
yeah.
on and
you're
reading
always
things, and
on.
oh my
Yeah,
God, and how exhausted you used to be, and you don't know when enough is enough. You don't know how to control your own
Yeah.
energy to someone else's energy, but then as the years go by, you learn. Like you said, you just learn. But if you were to help someone and they came to you, Pete, and they had all these fears, doubts, and imposter syndrome, what advice would you offer them?
Well, I have to kind of say, what is it revolving around? Because if you're just saying there's this massive imposter syndrome, then I'll be like, look,
stepping out, doing more work. Like,
yeah, okay.
they've been
So
practicing, developing, doing all the spiritual
yeah,
stuff, but then now they want to become a reader or
yeah.
whatever.
Well, that's when you say like I'd give them a pathway, very much kind of like saying, look, go out there, off your surfaces, work towards it, build it up, because that's going to be the easier way to do it. So, my pathway, which was lovely because I was lucky I had a mentor there from when I was a teenager helping me out in that regard. And she always said, if you like, she's like, you can do it. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. So I was there. I think we've all been there. Like we've all been and felt the imposter syndrome. And but she was like, if you don't feel comfortable taking the money for it or whatever else, just take a donation. And it's like and then it's like, okay. So I think the biggest fear is just about what I tend with most people with imposter syndrome is not so much about their own ability. I think that just the biggest fear is being judged.
Yeah.
You're shit. That was a terrible reading. That was bad. That was like, and I genuinely feel like that's the number one like fear for a lot of people. But that's when you kind of go, and I love that. And I think one of the greatest ways to overcome that fear or that feeling of imposter syndrome is when I say, remember why you're doing it. You're not there to impress them. You're there for spirit. You are there to be of service to spirit. And as long as you stay true to that, your intention is good. You know that it's going to be okay. Now, yes, your client can look at you black and blue and say, that was shit. That's fine. But just get back on the horse and go again, because if your intention is pure and you're there, you will learn. You will learn from it. And look, anyone listening, or between all three of us, Jesus, the war stories, we can probably tell you about our own failures and, own learning and lessons. Jesus, like they still come. Like I literally, what was it, on a Facebook ad for an event that I do it literally 2 nights ago. Someone wrote and go, I went and saw this and, oh yeah, I find him boring. He kind of repeated himself a lot. And I wrote back going, thanks for your feedback. If you've got any ideas on how to make grief and death less boring, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
You've copped
just stop repeating yourself.
You copped some really heavy criticism on social media, and like it's gone viral, like massive. And sometimes I just go, oh, fuck, I don't know if I could do that. Like you have copped some really heavy stuff.
Oh,
How have you not taken that personally? How have you not like that would have just made me so upset, some of the stuff that I've seen that's been written on your posts or about you. How have you handled these trolls and that sort of thing, Pete?
okay. Good way to always look at it is if you're getting a negative person, whatever it may be, even a Christian where they, of course we're doing Satan's work, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You really do. This is the power. This is where the power comes in. Don't look at that. Look at what that's done for you, not to you, but for you. So if you are, and like, for example, you might be posting something on Instagram, or if you're at that little bit further point in your journey and you're starting to advertise your events, or you're doing Facebook ads or something like that to market, to bring people in. Here's the thing. If people are commenting positive or negative, that means you are being seen.
Yeah.
Someone's got eyes on you. You can take the wonderful words of Sir Richard Branson. Any marketing's good marketing. Like any kind of like, it's like whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Like someone's seeing you, but you will have to learn and find your own way of working. And remember, you never deal with it. Never ever deal with it, because then you're not actually dealing with it. You're just shoving shit down into yourself because you go, I'm just going to delete that. That's dealing with it. You have to acknowledge it. You process it. And then you go, what can I do? Sometimes I push back. Sometimes I completely just make a joke out of them because I don't give a shit. Other times it is delete. I really don't have the time for that. So that's how but you've got to look at it and going, cool. But I also just put on that fact of like, when you get things like that, it's boring. You repeat yourself. I'm like, I repeat myself because the way spirit comes through and the way I describe spirit is the same because I have a mental methodology because that helps me to get the connection and the information. Of course, it may
Yes.
sound boring, but that's how it happens. Sometimes they change it up. I roll with that. But more often than not, we have our way to deliver it, you know? So for me, I start with the physical appearance. Then I start delving into the other details and I make my checklist. And I hold that checklist. And this is where most people go, fuck, how do you remember all of this? Because I've trained my brain to do it, because
Mhm.
that's the process. But the uneducated, it's boring.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's not boring. It's a process. I'm sorry if it's, but again, like, shit, what would you want me to do? Do you think this is going to be entertainment? You're going to be laughing your head off? Or it's a very interesting perception. I'm like, but again, oh, he only read four people. Ah, I only read four people? No, 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 honey. Let's back up the truck. I connected with four people in the audience, but I read fucking 10 spirits in the spirit world because two of those people had three spirits each coming through, and I do not ignore them. If they're there, I roll with it. I don't buy
Yeah.
into this. I need to be 10 minutes in and out. I honor where it needs to go. And if that means someone in an audience of 100 gets two connections, so be it. Who am I to change that? So, sorry, look, we're coming
That's
back
what
to your
we
granny,
talk.
David.
We
She
talked
come back
about
in
it.
2 weeks. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this. Was it last episode or episode
Yeah.
before? We're just not going to
Last
cut off
episode.
Granny. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
no,
like just a people please.
No.
and
No.
that's when. But also looking to go right. Even in that comment on an ad, oh, you only connected with four people. Well, how many people's enough?
Yeah.
Can you answer me that? Is it six? Is it 10? 12? 15? 20? 100? Fucking everyone?
Mm.
Let's
Yeah.
be real here. How many would be enough? Why is four low? Okay, yes, you might be going, there's 100 people here, you only read for four people. No, but I connected with 12 spirits. You don't see that because you're just looking at, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're counting what you see in front of you, not what I'm working with. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, it's this is when it's like, again, if you get the right people, come with the open mind, just go with it because it's not about how many we do, it's about the
Mm.
quality we do.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
and remember, if you kind of go back a little bit to book, I don't even have to go back because you're still doing DEMS and things like that.
Yeah.
Can you maybe for someone that's about to step out and get on a DEM platform, or some amateurs that really want to have a go at this, um, David and I talk about the stresses behind the organizing the event, the bookings, and like advertising. Do you have any secrets or advice, or you find it stressful as well? Like you'd be an expert at this shit now, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Um, okay, number one, you can make it as easy or as hard as you like. Okay. There is a very different thing between I'm going to hire out the community hall down the road and have 20 seats versus I'm going to hire the theatre and I'm going to have 300 seats. Now, here's the trick though. You can make it as hard as you want because that will be easier to do and the process, the in between. But when you do that, like the smaller one, when you kind of get out of stage, it's no different to the big one. It's just the in between stuff. But you will learn your procedures and systems to do that. This is where I personally find most aspiring mediums or readers will fall down because now you're entering the world of business because that's what it is. I'm sorry, you can't deny it. It is business because you are paying to rent a place. You are going to market for this. You are taking income for this, and then you have to provide the service at the end of it. That is business 101. It is a business. When you achieve it to a level where you are doing national tours and you're figuring out venues, I cannot tell you how many hours I have spent researching venues and trying to get venues. I have been shut out by venues purely because of what I do.
Yeah.
These are all parts of the journey, but you soon learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Now, yes, it can be inspiring to kind of go, yes, I want to be holding a room of 500, but you might go, shit, I love 50. It's awesome. It's intimate. I can connect with people. It feels good. And so do that. Like, I think the one of the hardest things I've found is it's like monkey see, monkey do. And so I know for a fact that obviously enjoying this world, but not really having anywhere to, learn directly. That's the downside of Australia. Like there's no center
Mm.
point to go and learn this stuff. So we look to media. We're looking to TV. So we're looking at the likes of John Edward. We're looking at James from Prague. We're looking at Lisa Williams. We're looking at, maybe Alison Dubois, whoever is going to be that's kind of in and around the space at the time. Good old Tyler Henry, Hollywood Medium. But of course, the downside is the public only see the televised version. They don't see
Yeah.
when the reader struggles. They don't see when they miss something, and so they expect it to be exactly like that.
Yeah.
So, but so where I find they fall down is they go, oh, that's what I need to be. And if you want to be that, go for it. Shit. I've been up there and I love doing it. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm like you with David. It's the energy of the audience. Like it's so symbiotic. And I can tell you right now, if you've got I always do say to my audience to come out and say, where's the energy? And I'll be like, I'm really sorry. You're more dead than my dead people. What the fuck's going on? And they all go, oh, and I'm like, that's a bit better. Now we're relaxing, So, but you have to understand that you are going to have to put in some background work. It is going to be an investment. You are going to spend money to make that money back. And there are going to be times when you are going to lose on that bet. I've been there. Okay. Now, if we're going to a real teaching moment, right, I'm going to pass on another little pearl of wisdom again. Like I say, if I can save some time, some hurt for people, I'll give it to you. If you are stepping out on the stage, here's what will help you to really succeed and make it feel like more you're worthwhile. Have something else to offer from the stage. Again, this is business 101 and you have to learn it. So many people in the spiritual field lack any sense of business acumen. I'm sorry, I see it all the time. You have to start thinking like this. So even if it's one-on-ones, do it. You're going to have to start collecting email addresses. Do it. You're going to have to learn. If you have something that once you've finished your dem, even if you've got 10 people in your dem, if you go, oh, hey guys, because you're here, my one-on-ones are usually $200, but you know what? If you book in right now, it's $100. Guess what? You probably just made an extra $1,000 that night.
Yeah.
Okay? That helps you. Now, I can tell you right now, we talked about imposter syndrome. What's going to make you feel like you're doing well? Like when you have that and you've got people booking in after the fact, you're going to go, I must be doing something right. See, there's the extra element. There's the thing that go, hey, there's something positive here. So it's a really, really important thing. So case in point, to give you a real life example, good old Cairns, right? So Cairns is very North Queensland, even 3 hours drive north of where Glenda is, David, to give you that idea. So it's the real tip. It's good old tropics. It's a relatively it's a big town. It's, but it's nice. The Great Barrier Reef access point, all that kind of stuff. So I've been going there for a couple of years and I was like, could never really get past this 70 to 80 point. It was just always hovering. It's like, I like growth. If I see growth, I feel like I'm doing something right. That's just me. But anyway, this was now the second time I'd hired the main theatre, so the Cairns Performing Arts Theatre. They've got a beautiful little mini, smaller studio there. I think it hosts about maybe 200, 250 people. So I hired this place. Now, these places are not cheap, right? They are not cheap. To give our lovely listeners a clue, here's the inside down low. Most theaters, anything, proper establishments with, big performing arts theater names, if you've got a studio of anywhere of 180 plus seating, you are now looking at anywhere between $3,500 to $5,500 just to hire it. You are putting yourself out there, like, so this is you start going, fuck, I better gonna sell some tickets, you know. So this particular instance, I went to Cairns, and I was filthy. I was kind of just shitty. Because like, fuck, this thing's a loss. Like, I'm making a loss. Once I factor in, so the event itself was breaking even. But if I factor in my flights, my accommodation, car parking for my car at the local airport, all that kind of stuff, I'm hovering close to a $2,000 loss. And when you're working for yourself, that adds up if you're not careful. So naturally, I was like, okay. So I made a promise to myself. I was like, I could imagine myself on the plane. If anybody's watching, they'd be like, what's this going on? I was like, doing this whole, like, talking to myself in my head, fucking Cairns, I'm never fucking going back to Cairns. I was doing all this. And I said, that's it. Cairns is off the list. I'm done. And so I went, and I had that. So cool. So I'm like, cool, I'm going out in style. And so I went out. What a fucking ripper of a night. Oh my God. Where did that come from? I was like, whatever that is, I need to bottle that shit and spray that around me every time I do this, because whatever happened, it was just pure magic. And what's interesting is, though, it's like, cool, I love this. I'm being of service. I'm traveling, but I'm at a $2,000 loss. Now, what was interesting, I just happened to mention that I was doing a 6-month mentoring program for some people, and just kind of threw it out there. I really didn't make a big deal of it. I am a big person of speaking to people after a dem. I love speaking to people afterwards. So I was just speaking to a few people. Lo and behold, the next day, I end up with 4 people from that audience signing up for $3,500 each.
That's
so
good.
This now became a $10,000 profit event. So the event itself was a negative, but it's what I was doing after the event that made it for it. So when people are aspiring and they're trying these things out, it can be very hard to go, I'm not really making a lot here. That's where you just have to be a little bit smarter and have something that you are willing to offer them. When I first started out, it was one-on-ones. And my one-on-ones, I was booked out for 2 years in advance. I wouldn't go much further than that, because what's the bloody point? Because I didn't know what I was doing next week sometimes.
Yeah.
So let alone 2 years in advance. But yeah, so that just gives you a different side of it. See, this is a side that most mediums will never talk about.
Yeah.
Because we talk about the work, we talk about the connection, but what have we been saying? We live in this world. We live in this life. And you've got to find something there. So, just out of curiosity, David and Glenda, what do you offer if you're doing a dem? Do you have something that you offer after it?
You're right. I haven't put it
I,
out there. I haven't offered.
no, because most of my dems are at, say, spiritualist churches. I mean, I'll do the odd private one with other people, but it's not on the scale that you do yet.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. So
I do the healings, or the
okay, but
readings
are you
after.
mentioning that after you finish your dem?
I haven't. No.
Why the fuck not?
I don't know. I think they just follow me. They'll see it on my social media.
No, that is wishing in one hand and crapping in the other. And I can tell you which one will get filled first.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm all for the manifesting, but that you can't be lazy with this. Imagine the change, because you have them and they're connected right in with your energy. They're going, God damn, this fucking Glenda chick, she's awesome. Oh, David, he's fucking hot to trot. Let's do this. And if you've got them there. Now, here's the thing. Like, I don't know what the etiquette is for the spiritual churches over there or the spiritual centers, but why the hell not? Can you say, if anybody's interested in having a one-on-one with me, please come up and see me afterwards? Would that be considered taboo?
I don't know for a fact, but the perception is you're there to represent. I mean, I don't work for the church. I work for myself. I work for Spirit.
Of course,
right?
yeah, no, yeah.
But
yeah,
I think
yeah.
when you're doing a church, I mean, some churches will say, actually, have I had this before? I don't think I have. Not churches won't say, well, if you want to book David privately, then book him. The odd person will come up to you afterwards and say, have you got a business card or whatever else? And obviously, I have them with me, so I give them out. But
Yeah.
it's just not seen to be the done thing to then kind of finish your service with a closing prayer and then say, "Oh, by the way, if you want to book me," it's almost, I don't know, it's almost a bit, I don't know if it's taboo, but it's just, do you know what I mean? It's
Okay.
more you're there to represent the church, and that's it, basically.
No, you're
In
not.
my
Put something on the
in my
chairs.
perception, just my perception is what
Yeah.
I guess.
No,
It's,
I look at that and go, but okay, because I do understand the awkwardness of like, oh, boy, that was beautiful, closing prayer. Oh, by the way, come and buy my shit. That doesn't come
Buy my
across to
book.
me,
Yeah, your book, David.
oh,
You
my
got to
book,
book
yeah.
yourself.
Here's a book
right?
collected earlier.
But that's me, like a book, or it's like, but even with that, how often are either of you, like literally when you're finishing, going, and by the way, guys, if anyone wants to come up and have a chat with me, please feel free. Are
No,
you
they just come and
inviting
chat.
them? Are you
No.
inviting them to come to you to connect with you?
The
Yeah.
chairperson normally does that.
Oh, no, I'm
Why
Sometimes.
aren't
usually
you
like,
doing it?
Sometimes.
I
Yeah,
I
see,
think I'm
sometimes now
always
you're
there
relying on somebody
chatting.
else to do it for you,
Mm.
and therefore it might miss out.
Mm.
So, like when you're saying, thank you so much. And of course, I'll be here afterwards. The chairperson might bring this up, but I just want to say it here. I'm happy to have a chat with you afterwards. Even that, if you've got restrictions around what you can do,
Mm.
that changes your game because now they see is like, oh wow, they're open. Okay. I feel comfortable going up to talk to them because I can tell you, I don't know how many times I've had. Well, Glenda, shit, you were one of them. Like, oh,
Stalked
I don't know.
him.
I shouldn't disturb him. Oh, I shouldn't go talk to him. Oh, I don't know. Like, oh, he's busy. He's busy. He's busy.
No, I stalked you. I'm here. We're gonna have a chat. I made it happen.
Yeah, you're the loiterer. You waited for everyone
Yes,
else to leave before you hit me up in the car park. It was like you were really doing the stalker thing.
I did, but we ended up mates.
Oh, that's when most people go, "Have you got somewhere to be?" I'm like, "No, I've literally
No,
just
let's
finished this.
go.
Happy to talk."
We're going for a drink.
Yeah, it's like that's when we usually talk for about an hour and a half. When this happens, David, it's usually about 90 minutes in the car park. We're talking, can we go fucking grab a drink somewhere?
Yeah,
Because
in the car
we're in this
park.
dark car park looking like we're bloody doing a drug deal. Like, how about we go somewhere and have a drink while we talk about this stuff? So,
We
but
always do that. And then the
that sounds like a good
cocktails come.
idea.
Yeah, cocktails come after. So by 2 o'clock in
Yeah.
the morning, we're heading
Hey,
home.
I'm non-discriminative when it comes to the spirits.
Same.
I'll finish with one and I'll start dealing with
Some of
the
the
other.
other.
It's not a problem.
That's me. So tell us, oh God, we could talk all night with you. Tell us, how did the retreats open up? Like, where are you going? How are you, steering that? What are you teaching people on the retreats? Because you're kind of stepping away from the mediumship a bit here to open up to something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, look, and again, it kind of also leads back to what we have, the big crux of the conversation we've been talking about, and what you guys actually bring up a lot on your podcast. And, there's a real big theme of find your identity in this work.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's going to be learning to go non-direct versus direct or what works for you, or whether, you know what, fuck it, I love doing psychic a little bit more than mediumship, but I'll work with both. But you can still do amazing DEMS with psychic energy. Absolutely, you can. So don't feel like you have to hold back on that. So you're finding your identity, and the whole thing is never be afraid to experiment. Okay, because spirit's going to experiment with you, whether you like it or not. So
Oh,
you might as well get on
absolutely.
board.
Yeah.
you know so even when you're doing your thing, like, and you got to kind of, that's me, I was just like, I knew I wanted to come out to pumping music when I first started. I didn't want to come out like, and then someone said, oh, I can do a beautiful meditation for the group. I'm like, meditation before like an event with 200 people? I don't want the energy to go down, I need the energy to come up. So you don't be afraid to experiment with yourself in
Yeah.
that way and really listen to where it's being calling you. Now, for some people, it might be, yeah, one-on-ones, then it switches to DEMS, and then it switches to something else because we all grow, we all evolve. And I think, look, I do take my hat off, and there's a lot of credit where credit's due when I do look at like John Edward or James from Prague, like people who have been, real good steadfast figures in our world, and they've just stuck to their thing, right? That's not me. I need change. I'm a double Gemini. Shit. right? Bouncing around the place. I'll give a pinball machine a run for its money. But the whole point is, so at the moment, and this is what I've been sitting with for the last like 3 years, realistically, is I know there's a shift and a change. Like I said, I'm here to help provide insight and tools for people that to connect with themselves. And that pretty much, I really kind of started delving into that a little bit more last year, where I offered a 3 day mini retreat. And I just wanted to make it affordable. And that's what you test it out. So I did. By golly gosh, 62 people came to that 3 day retreat. And I was like, it was amazing. It was like really, really wonderful. And then there was also a point of like, it was only this year in May that I also had to become okay with letting go of things. So I've been hosting retreats in Fiji now for a couple of years, 2, 3 years. But this last one before May came, the retreat ended up wonderful. However, the prelude, the administration side of things, oh my God, it was a fucking nightmare. It was just like I'm going, this is not what the intention of this is. So that really, really shocked me into reality of going, how do I want this to be? So I flew to Fiji in May going, I'm okay. I may never come back to Fiji again to do this, and I'm okay with that. But I've built up a beautiful relationship with the people over there, and that's why if I'm honest, I'd be gutted if it did, But because of that, and I was okay, and I acknowledged where it was at. It was only then I created the space. So the moment I landed in Fiji, and I was in my room or on the deck of my room, I got a massive download. It was like, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. I was like, I don't know, my friend was there and she's known me for a long time. She's like, what was that? Like, she goes, you got, like, I said, download. She goes, I know, but it hit you. I was like, yeah, that came out of nowhere. But that's what set me up at the moment. And so in June, I released a 12-month program attached with the Fiji retreat, and it sold out for 10 people for a 12-month program. And so what I'm now helping people with is, and I love this because it really helps conceptualize, I think, where a lot of people are at, even on their own spiritual journey, or if you're looking to get into mediumship, whatever it may be. What I tend to find where I love it because, your guys' podcast is really good for this because you're helping people to become aware, learn, understand that shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing about a lot of people are seeking like spiritual growth, but they're looking to expand or enhance their abilities. However, they're not looking to expand and understand themselves in the process. And that is failure right there. You have put a glass ceiling. Yep. You have put a glass ceiling on yourself with your own abilities because this whole journey is about understanding yourself first and foremost, then with the abilities. Now, granted, we tap into that. It's wonderful. So when I do these retreats, and especially the 12-month one, is I call it the soul set and the spirit set. So the soul set is delving in deeper. We pull out. I always say to people, you coming along to my retreat, I said, I'm going to treat you like, Mr. Potato Head. I'm going to pull you fucking apart and I put you back together again, but I cannot promise the parts are going to go back where they're supposed to. So, because that's the whole point, right? So it's like Humpty Dumpty and I'll fucking break you. That's my point. It's like, I just say, be ready. Like I can be nice, but I can absolutely get in there. So that's the soul set where it's that personal growth. And I said, then we got the spirit set. And then I said, this is now where I'm going to help you to connect and work with the energy to enhance yourself and your life. If it then takes you further that you want to become a psychic, medium, healer, Reiki, whatever, then if you need help with that, I'm happy to assist you with that as well. But it's more about going, I want this, I want to understand this, and I just really bring those two worlds together. And of course, as we understand, you can't do that in a month or two. It's a deeper process. So to give you guys, you've got the inside scoop. Actually, the main reason why I'm going to Europe tomorrow is I'm going to have 23 hours in Rome because I'm setting up the next retreat and it will be in Rome.
Oh,
Ooh.
Yeah.
When's that? I might have to book that one, Pete.
Now that will be set up for October. Not quite these dates. It's going to be the 13th, I think, for looking at the calendar. Yeah, so it'll be the 13th to the 17th will be the retreat in Rome next year, 2026. So it will be
oh,
like the retreat is it's an ending and it's a celebration for putting one's self first.
It's not.
Yeah,
what
that's
drew,
how I
what
do
No,
drew,
it.
it's not.
what drew you to Rome? What took you to Rome?
The Rome aspect was it's more about the history, the energy. I'm fortunate I've been there before. God, I loved it. I just think there's just so much there, and the Italians are so nice. They're nice people, and so I'm just like, you know what? I've had a beautiful experience, and I just feel like I can give other people that experience. I'm also finding a lot of people won't go to these places unless there's a reason to
Reason
go.
to, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of helping provide that for them as well. And I'm finding that it's really good and it gives us all something to look forward to after doing so much work together over, a 12-month period. So, yeah, but it's just Rome. It's the history, it's the energy. Of course, we'll do some, past life meditations, visualizations, and stuff like that because you can't when you're not in that place.
Right up
Um,
my alley.
yeah. So, and it's just one of those, I'm like, cool. And that's what I do, guys. Like if there's a secret sauce, if it feels good, I go after it. That's it.
No, no,
Love
It's
it.
absolutely.
back yourself all the way because don't wait for the collab. Don't wait for someone to come knocking on your door. You're gonna
Mhm.
have to, because the more you learn to do it, I can tell you right now, you'll go much further ahead because you're going to have more confidence. That's going to give you the courage to take the next step and the step after that and the step after that. So you've got to back yourself. Don't keep waiting for someone to do it for you.
True.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So, is there anything that you can share with us that people don't know anything quirky about Pete? Some surprises that you keep hidden? Like, what's some like secrets that people don't know about you, Pete? Spill.
I remember I got asked this question on the Lisa Williams course. So there you go, the
Oh,
full circle moment. No, like always, it's really interesting. It's one of those weird things I remember saying back then. I'm a bit of a kitchen warrior. Um, and so I was like, I can't deal with a dirty kitchen. I love a clean kitchen. And it's just one of those things. I'm like, what was fascinating about that is if you depending on what room in your house that you have a thing for, whether it's super clean or super messy, actually can relate to a part of your life and body. I found out the kitchen actually relates to one's mind. So if you like a clean kitchen, you like to keep your mind in order. So I found that quite fascinating about. But I don't know, like
is
in terms
the
of
kitchen bench,
no
and your stove.
kitchen.
Oh,
Yeah,
and the stove,
kitchen.
but that relates to money as well. Go clean your
Oh, there you go.
stove if you
Didn't
want
know
new
that.
money to come in. I'm always like,
Ah.
wipe that stove down, bring the money in.
Oh, don't worry. My wife's always like, let's move shit around because every time I do, good things happen. I'm like, it's like, I'm like, if you, so it's one of those things. But no, but in terms of, I don't know, I don't really like, I don't have that secret. Like I have shared a lot. Um, you know, if there's anything like, don't get me wrong, I would say that there are a lot more, how do I put it, down times or some slightly tougher moments connected to my work and the people in this industry that I haven't really been able to share. So I've been through, but besides that, like, I've written Searching Spirit, there's the beginning of my story. That was cathartic in itself. So you kind of really don't hang on to a lot. And so one of my next books is actually going to be called or titled No Happy Medium. And that is going to be a very different book for people. That's not my next one. My next one's coming out soon, but it it's going to be about I'm going to really lift the lid on some of the shit that kind of goes on. Not in a negative sense, not to be dramatic or to call people out in that sense, but as a
Oh,
eye opener and as a way to help inspiring upcoming, mediums or psychics to kind of go, okay, this is normal what I'm gone through or what I'm thinking
yeah,
right now. Um,
yeah.
because again, even like I struggle to find people to talk to genuinely about what you go through.
Mhm.
It can be a
Absolutely.
very lonely journey.
I say it all the time, and I think that's why I reached out to you. And I don't know, I think I put myself out there to the right people now to reach out and just
Mm.
go. I don't think I've messaged you before, Pete. I'm fucking really struggling. I'm really
Yeah.
struggling through this grief. I really miss my mum. Like I've reached out to you and things like that. And unless you go through it, you don't know what it feels like. And
Yeah.
with you, I know, you've felt lost. You lost your dad as well, and it's freaking hard. And people, we are not immune to that. We feel all the grief, all the shit, all the
Oh,
emotional shit shows, just like everyone else, if not deeper than everyone else, with all the universal crap. And sometimes you have to really pull yourself up and go,
mm,
am I going nuts here? Am I really losing my marbles? Or does someone else actually feel the same? Because it happens
yeah.
all the time. But no one
And
wants to admit it. We're all so fucking
yeah,
perfect on social media. Oh, I'm so perfect. Look at my world over here. No, I can see behind that friggin' mask that you're wearing. And
yeah,
that's
and
what's real.
that's why I feel like there's a calling to kind of just that's me. It's more transparency of like this goes on. Like we are human beings behind it. Like I've even had to explain to a lot more people, please don't take my compartmentalization as a sense of like a lack of empathy or compassion, or even the fact that, I'm very matter of fact. The truth is that I just don't let on that every connection that I do actually leaves an imprint on me. Like I'm very, very empathic when it comes to a passing. I feel everything that if they give it to me, I feel it through and through. And people don't understand, like we take that on, like, and I think, I don't know, I honestly, it'd be an interesting thing. I really don't know. We must have some level of like greater resilience cup to be able to do the work that we do. But it's like people sometimes can misunderstand like a level of professionalism for a lack of empathy or compassion and going, oh no, there's
Yeah.
some shit, there's some connections and stories that I can tell you and they sit with me. And, the good thing is I'm not reliving, not traumatically, but they are still there and they're never going to leave me, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
Absolutely.
think about that, like, quickly off the top of your heads, what's the one connection and spirit in their passing that kind of comes to your mind that you just know that's always going to be with you?
I think that I had a client. Was that just a connection that I had, or you
Yeah,
mean?
just one that you kind of go, "Pff, that's always going to be with me."
Oh, I had a lady come to me connected to her husband had passed away, and this is a really good client of mine. Her husband passed away. He told me the 6th and the 7th, and um, she where he she lost her. No, she gave birth to a baby on the 6th, and he died on the 7th, or vice
Mm,
versa, something like that. But it was such a deep connection. It was so meaningful, just heavy, very heavy. And I felt every bit of it. It was something I'll
mm,
never forget because it was so specific and the
yeah.
way that he came through. And it was only a month after, and everything. He was just so on point with everything that came through. That just sat with
Wow.
me.
Yeah. What about you, David?
It was probably when a lady had lost her son and he was abroad when he died, and there was no real clarity about how it happened. Um,
Right.
but I was able to tell her from what he told me that it was an accident. He didn't take his own life. And
Right.
she was being blamed by the family that he was aboard and it's her fault. Da, 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 da. Oh, it wasn't.
Mm.
But she'd been hanging on to the fact that he he must have took his own life because there's no one has given her real answers. And he come through
Mm.
without me knowing anything. Just, oh, he keeps saying it's an accident, it's an accident. And I saw him fall. And he'd basically gone over a balcony on holiday. But it was
See,
just
that
an
sticks
accident.
with you.
It was just an accident. But
Yeah.
she just burst into tears when I have to say it, he didn't take his own life. He wasn't unhappy as people were trying to make him out to be. Do you know what I mean? So that gave her that sense of peace.
So it's
As it
just
stands
amazing
out.
what sticks with you. It's,
Yeah,
and those will never leave us.
yeah,
Oh, never. Because you can just, I don't know, you're in that, you feel that when you feel that connection and the love and all of the emotions that come through from that spirit person, plus the person sitting in front of you, how could you not be affected by it? How could you not feel those emotions? You know what I mean? I do. I feel it. Sometimes I wipe away the tears, like I say to David, on one-to-ones. I
Mm.
wipe away a tear if I have to. In a demonstration, I'm professional enough to be able to put some sort of boundary in a place where
Mm.
I just get
Keep
on
going.
with it. We just keep
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the next day, like after my last one, the whole next day, I just had to have my phone off. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I wiped away
Mm.
tears because it hit me all the things that had come through that I put a kind of I don't know, a wall up not to be able to hit me on that night. But the next day, fuck, it really hit me, some of the stories that I'd actually brought through and the emotions. So we do feel it.
Yeah.
It's
Well, kind of
just,
coming back to a question like you asked about how do you kind of compartmentalize or do that?
mm,
As you were talking about that, it's kind of coming to me like I think one thing that I've become very, very mindful and good at is when I'm delivering the messages, I I'm almost consciously in my mind taking that energy, and when I'm saying it, I'm giving it to them. So therefore, I don't hold on to it as much. So like I
mhm.
kind of do like I kind of like this is yours. This is
yeah,
yours. This is yours. This is yours. This is for you. This is for you. And it just I won't like it's something that I again I'm not like consciously saying to people, oh, by the way, the energy's coming your way. Like it's just something that's happening,
yeah,
just kind of naturally. But I also find that it's in my words and delivery that I'm also giving that feel. And that helps to compartmentalize the brain to go, I am just the medium. I'm in between. I'm the translator. It is not my shit. So don't take it on. So it's just
Yeah.
like that's probably another part there, kind of talking about that because it is like people don't realize like the one thing that gets to me on stage is kids
Hmm.
because my mind as a dad goes straight to
Yeah.
go, what if this was my son? Or what if this was my
Yeah.
daughter? Oh, it can't. I think that's just the innate human response. And then I have to catch myself, stop it. It's not them. That can be a tricky one. And I've had ones where I'm like, oh, stop making this so emotional. I'm like, nope, we are not crying. Let's keep going.
Yeah. But how many times do you have to go, okay, you can see the emotions, but sometimes you have to kind of pull it up with spirit and just go, okay,
Yes.
enough now, enough now. Even
Yes.
with yourself when they impress the way that they pass on your body, you just
Yep.
say, okay, take it off me now, enough, because it
Yeah.
can be very strong.
I got the message.
yeah.
I don't need the freight train to go with it.
True.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
God,
like I totally get it.
massive. But oh,
Um,
gee, thank you so much for talking to us, Pete. I have to ask my question I ask everyone.
mm.
Do you believe that pineapple belongs on pizza?
Well, when you think about it, what doesn't?
David! David hates pineapple on pizza.
Oh, that's fine. But some people hate mushrooms.
Yeah, true. No, it's the
Okay.
pineapple.
Here's a bigger
He
question.
believes it
Do
goes
prawns
cocktails.
belong on pizza?
Nah, not
Do
for
No,
me.
prawns belong on pizza?
mm, not my cup of
Not for
tea.
me.
No.
No, but I'm not that big a seafood eater.
I can't eat it either. That's why I'm like, get that shit away from me. I'm allergic to it. But
Yeah.
it's just like, but it's like I'm going. I'm like, wouldn't you want to just enjoy the seafood, not on a piece of flatbread? But anyway,
Yeah.
But again, it's like I know so many people that
Absolutely.
don't like pineapple. My son doesn't like pineapple on pizza, so there you
Oh,
Lads.
he's like you,
Good
David.
lads.
A good lad.
go. Oh, I love it.
So do you want to ask the last question, David? Because I'm just like, I know I've taken over a bit because David's been under the weather, but
Yeah.
I'll give you the last one.
Thank you.
So, Hmm.
If today were your last day on Earth, and if this was your final conversation, what legacy would you want to leave behind?
Remember the magic that's still around you. Because we are seriously a part of something truly fucking magnificent. But we are forgetting that in a hurry.
Yeah.
If we can kind of go, just stop, get out of your own way, and just connect with what's around you, take in the magic of nature and the world that we live in. Because we are here to experience that as much as our own lessons. It's like right now, that's the biggest thing because we get so wrapped up in shit. We get so wrapped up in ourselves. And the whole thing is, and it's like, it'd be either that or a lot of things. Just remember, you can do and make a career or like make a life out of anything that you set your mind to. You know, don't give up on yourself. I know that's two things. Sorry, I just took liberty.
Love it. What a way to end the podcast, eh?
Hey.
Well, thank you, Pete, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. It's been lovely to meet you as well. Because Glenda talks about you quite a lot, in a nice way, so it's all right.
That's all right. No, thank you for
That's
having
all
me.
right. No, welcome. And thank you to listeners for tuning in. I hope you found that insightful. We certainly did. It's such a nice chat, and you know, there's a lot going on in this industry at the minute, which is not all positive. So hopefully you found some empowerment from this episode. So hopefully we'll see you again in the Spirit Lounge soon.
Thank you so much for joining us in the Spirit Lounge today. We hope you enjoyed the discussion.
Yes, and if there's a spiritual topic you'd like us to discuss, or if there's a spiritual question you'd like our input into, then please send those topics and questions to us at glenda-marie1@hotmail.com, and we will get to them as soon as possible.
Lastly, if you could like and share this podcast, as well as leaving us a comment or review about what you thought, then that would really help us out and we'd be very grateful.
We would indeed. But it's bye from me.
And it's bye from me.
Join us again soon in the Spirit Lounge.